बैंक्स के एनुअल परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यू पर पहुंचे हैं वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली। इस वक्त अरुण जेटली प्रेस को संबोधित कर रहे हैं, सुनते हैं उन्हें।
The improved role of private sector banks in various governmental schemes, which are the social sector schemes, and obviously the further transmission of the rate cuts by the banks. These were the broad issues which we have discussed today. Well, we can take some satisfaction of the fact that even though international agencies are rating us as perhaps the fastest growing amongst the emerging economies, but our own level of ambition is higher, and therefore we consider that the economy is recovering from the serious challenges it has faced in the past few years. Basic fiscal data looks good, and we are on a roadmap for a much higher growth. The government, of course, I told the banks in terms of policy initiatives, in terms of expediting the execution of stalled projects, will continue to play a very important role. Government spending in infrastructure has increased, and the banks themselves have felt that in sectors like roads, renewable energies, the effect of that is now being felt. Retail credit has picked up. It's the corporate credit which has still to pick up. And therefore, amongst the challenging situations which came up in order to improve the economy, and consequently the health of the banks also picks up with that. In the quarter ending 31st March 2015, the NPAs had come down from 5.64% to 5.2%. As I had mentioned earlier, one quarter itself doesn't indicate a pattern. So I would like to wait for some more time before realizing as what the pattern is. The banks themselves are of the assessment that it may take them 2 to 3 quarters to reach a somewhat more greater comfort level. There was a lot of concern with regard to stalled projects. Many have started. And therefore we decided that even though in the Cabinet Secretariat an effort is being made, the Prime Minister himself has taken a series of meetings. The Secretary of the Department of Financial Services, in consultation with the banks, purely from the banking point of view, will prepare a list of those projects which are stalled on account of reasons of finance. And therefore, that is something which we directly deal with. And both the Secretary and even when necessary at my level, we'll be calling for a meeting of the representatives of the state governments, those projects and even concerned departments over the next few weeks, and trying to resolve those projects. In fact, some illustrations were also given of projects where problems are capable eminently of a easier solution. We are, of course, keeping our fingers crossed as far as the monsoon is concerned. We are in the midst of monsoon. And I have already announced this earlier, and I informed the bankers also that with the revenue position becoming more comfortable, there is going to be a much greater investment in agriculture, so that we are able to help for future years the rural demand itself to pick up. Banks themselves are going to make an effort to reduce their NPAs. We did ask each of the banks which has a higher NPA level to explain the reasons and those groups on account of which the defaults were higher. Additionally, the banks put up a strong case for additional capital being inducted into the banks. And over the next few months, this is something which the government is going to seriously look at. The social sector schemes were also discussed, and I'm glad to inform you that as far as the two insurance schemes are concerned, the Jan Suraksha and the Jeevan Jyoti Yojanas, we have now touched a figure of 10.17 crores. Now these schemes was launched on the 9th of May, and today in just 3 months and 1 month and 3 days, we've already crossed the 10 crore figure, which actually shows that in district after district of the country, lakhs and lakhs of persons are getting enrolled. The initial participation of the private sector banks in these schemes had not been as much as the public sector banks, but today, seeing the response, the private sector banks have also said that they are also receiving a very encouraging response and queries, and therefore they are also going to participate in a big way as far as these schemes are concerned. With regard to transmission of rate cuts, there was a detailed presentation as to how much each bank has done. You've had 3 rate cuts of 25 basis points each from December right till June, and some part of it has been passed on to the customers, whereas the banks had not passed on. I expressed a hope that over the next few days, and some of the bankers also felt that over the next few weeks they would be in a position to work out greater cuts. They've of course expressed their own problems relating to their balance sheets and higher rates of the social sector, small saving schemes, and therefore they've asked us to look at those small saving schemes. All I can say was that the meeting was, the environment was optimistic, since the movement even in the banking sector appears to be for the better, and this gives us a further hope of a greater recovery as far as the economy is concerned. Thank you. That's all I had to say.
One by one, please. One, at least one. Let.
And secondly, how soon can we see?
Well, I'm not giving, unless it's taken up in the cabinet and so on, I'm not going to give any figures. But this is a strong case which the banks have made, and therefore I do believe that it's a case which merits the government seriously looking into it. It's only after discussing it within the government and looking at our own abilities in this matter that your question can be answered.
Yes, Mr. Chief, let.
देखिए, होम लोन्स के संबंध में तो वैसे भी थोड़ा कम है बाकी सेक्टर्स की तुलना में, लेकिन जो बैंक से चर्चा हुई वो ओवरऑल रेट कट्स के लिए कि जब आरबीआई रेपो रेट को नीचे लाता है तो उसका धीरे धीरे ट्रांसमिशन जो उपभोक्ता है उनको हो। बैंक्स का ये कहना था कि जब रेपो रेट बढ़े थे तो बैंक्स बढ़ाने में थोड़ा पीछे रहते थे, अब घटाने में भी रिजर्व बैंक से थोड़ा पीछे हैं क्योंकि उन्होंने अपनी बैलेंस शीट की समस्या बतलाई और फिर उनको ये लगता है कि अगर स्मॉल सेविंग रेट 8.5%, 9% का है तो उसकी वजह से उनके डिपॉजिट रेट्स ज्यादा हैं, तो स्मॉल सेविंग्स रेट का उनके डिपॉजिट रेट्स पे प्रत्यक्ष असर पड़ता है जिसकी वजह से उनको घटाने में थोड़ी सी कठिनाई है। तो ये सब आपस में संबंधित विषय है, इनको ओवरऑल देखना चाहिए।
वन बाय वन प्लीज। यस,
I have only heard them and I have said we will look into the matter.
So your chief
yes, Arun.
today, which is making a fresh case for further cuts, policy rate cuts.
Well, as an eminent economist, he has a view and he's expressed it. You see, the Secretary Financial Services, why hazard a guess? And in fact, I had taken a notional figure if it could be this high, and then I was told it was not that high. So there are, we are going to look at the big ones, which are stuck up because of these reasons, and many of them we felt could be solved. For instance, to call representatives of the state governments, the concerned departmental ministry, the concerned banks, the 2-3 principal banks which are funding it, and resolving it on the table. I think this exercise in the next few days the Secretary would start undertaking, and where other ministries and states are involved, I would personally be present in those meetings.
One by yes.
देखिए, बैंक जब डाइवेस्ट करते हैं तो बाजार की हालत और बाजार की स्थिरता को देखते हुए करेंगे, तो उपयुक्त समय पर उनको ये स्वायत्तता है कि अपना निर्णय लें।
When only a number of banks were capitalized based on certain parameters, it was criticized that these parameters are too narrow. So in today's meeting, was there any discussion about broadening the parameters?
No,
Please.
Would you link capital infusion to performance of the banks, and what happens to small banks in that case who are not even raised capital from the market?
Well, I am not giving any room for speculation to you, even though some suggestions inside were made to that effect.
Last, yeah, please.
देखिए, उसमें अभी हमारा टारगेट 31 दिसंबर तक 2 करोड़ का है, और उसमें क्योंकि सरकार एक बड़ी सब्सिडी भी दे रही है आरंभ में, उसकी शुरुआत बैंक्स ने अभी की है। उसकी गाइडलाइंस बनाने के बाद अभी तक 2 लाख लोग उसमें लगभग जुड़े हैं। देखिए, मैंने उनके पहले सवाल का संकेत दिया।
सनी, you can ask Sunny that.
नहीं, पारदर्शिता तो है, जो भी वो रेट कट करती हैं वो सार्वजनिक घोषणा करते हैं बैंक। आई थिंक द बैंक्स मेंशन, बैंकों का ये कहना था कि 2-3 क्वार्टर्स और लगेगा कि उनको कंफर्टेबल पोजीशन तक पहुंचने में।
लास्ट क्वेश्चन यार, प्लीज।
You see, after all, the banks will take efforts, stalled projects, capital infusion, ये सारे NPAs को कमी करते हैं ना। Thank you,
friends. We have made arrangement for distribution of lunch on the ground floor.
वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली को आप सुन रहे थे, और बड़ी बात जो उन्होंने ये कही कि बैंकों को रेट घटाने में फिलहाल दिक्कत है, 2-3 क्वार्टर बाद शायद स्थिति सुधरे, लेकिन दिसंबर से लेकर जून तक 3 बार रेपो रेट घटा है और इसका फायदा लोगों को मिलने की उम्मीद है, ये कहा वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली ने। बैंकों ने रेट घटाने पर जो उनकी समस्याएं हैं वो बताई, लेकिन साथ ही धीरे धीरे करके ब्याज दरें घटाएंगे जिससे कि लोगों को इसका फायदा मिले, ऐसी उम्मीद वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली ने जताई। आपको बता दें, सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के बैंक प्रमुखों से मुलाकात की है आज वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली ने।